To be honest, I've been in better moods before. I won't go into it now. You've come here for the book, so I will read. I am currently in the chicken fence, so I apologize for any crows that will most certainly come up. I'm looking at the rooster right now. Anyway, so we are now on to chapter 8, aptly called Vengeance. Anyway, so back to Chesstel and Dethar. Alright. Dethar knocked loudly on the Morren's door. He had allowed the sisters a week of fruitless hope and worry, but now the climax of his game had come. A part of him wanted to drag it out a few days longer, but he had more to do than torment a handful of peasants. By the way, if I jump up because there's bugs on me, that's just the way it's gonna go. Anyway, because I'm of course trying not to stop and have to edit the videos. So here we go. Dethar would torture Elise a few hours longer, but in the end, Arthen's children would be his. Dethar knocked again, and this time the door opened. Atia stood on the threshold, her eyes widened in recognition. Yes, it's me, female. Surprised to see me? Dethar, Atia stammered. What are you doing here? I've come to help. Your pathetic nephews are dying, no? I'm the only one who can save them. Arthen's children will be no more unless I am permitted to see them. What are you saying? Atia stared at him. She composed herself well, but Dethar could see the alarm in her eyes. Then her eyes narrowed. Her voice darkened. It was you, wasn't it? You should never leave children alone when strangers are close. Your attempts to make amends for your thoughtlessness are vain. I am well aware of your plans to make the Barome ointment. Allow me to inform you that it won't work. Where my magic is concerned, there is no cure. Leave this place, Atia snapped, lips pulling back in a snarl. Get off this land before I chase you off myself. Dethar offered a broader smile and lifted his hand, looking at it thoughtfully. Smoke wafted from his fingertips, a warning for the young woman to tread softly. Stepping back, Atia made to slam the door. Dethar braced his hands against it, shoving it open and stepping into the house. Sapphira! Atia screamed. Dethar slammed the door behind him. Don't be too hasty, woman. I'm not finished. His voice was low, a warning. Then finish up and get out, Atia snapped, backing away. If the girl had fur, it would be bristling. She positioned herself between him and the stairs. Sapphira! It's not... I lost my place. That's right. Call them in. I want to talk to everyone, especially Elise. You disgusting fake, Atia spat. I'm pleased to see some girls have spirit. 3 dark-haired women came through a side door. One looked younger than Atia. Hurrying down the stairs came Elise, and she stopped short when she saw Dethar. By the look on her face, Dethar guessed she wouldn't have to explain much. So it was you then, Elise said coldly. How could you do such a thing? Lady Brightscar, Dethar said with a serene expression and a mocking bow. I've come to tell you what must be done in order to save your children. Elise stared at him with hateful eyes, hand gripping the banister. I assume Arthen never mentioned me to you, so you very likely have no idea who I am. I will tell you now. His worst enemy. I've guessed that already, Elise said. Slowly, she finished her descent. Dethar went on. I will not go into great detail concerning our many skirmishes, or why we were fighting in the first place. After all, if he was a devoted husband, he surely would have mentioned his secret societies and solemn quests concerning the song, eh? Elise remained silent, but her face betrayed her confusion. But I digress. I have not come here to unravel the mysteries of Arthen's past. I've come to offer my services. As I told this young woman here, Dethar gestured to Atia, the medicine will be pointless. Only through me do the twins have a chance of living. I have an offer. Are you interested? You think I would ask for your help, Elise exclaimed. I would be a fool. Leave this house at once and never come back. Dethar was not surprised. This game was getting boring. Have it your way, then. He turned as if to leave, readying his magic. Wait, Atia cried. Surprised, all turned to her. Atia met Dethar's gaze. How can we save them? What must we do? Dethar grinned, interest renewed. You must give them to me. A hard choice, I know, but if you give them to me, you will be giving them life. If you do not, then they will die, as the magic intends. Either way, you will lose them, as you lost Arthen, but if you accept my offer, you may at least rest easy in that you did what was best. I leave for an hour. When I return, I will hear your choice, and don't bother running for help, because I'll catch you. Giving them a malicious smile, Dethar drew up his hood and left, leaving the door open. Wicked! Wicked man! Elise cried, pacing back and forth. You have to choose, Mavea said quietly. Elise whirled on her, eyes burning. Choose? What? Elise whirled on her, eyes burning. Choose? What, to send Jero and Nias off with him? Who was that man? Asenath demanded. Was that the man who brought the ring? Was that him? Matthias will bring the medicine in time, Sapphira insisted. Mavea threw up her hands. You heard Dethar. The medicine won't work. So he says, Sapphira replied. But I don't think that's true. No magic is invincible, and of course he would say it wouldn't work. Mara had buried her face in Asenath's skirt and was crying fiercely. Apparently, she had been hiding at the top of the stairs and had heard everything. Asenath was stroking the girl's dark hair soothingly, but how could she comfort the child when she too was weeping? Elise sucked in her breath and then choked on a sob. Hateful wretch! My poor babies! Bending over, she hugged herself and wept. The door was closed. Atia had slammed it shut, as if she could close Dethar out of their lives forever. Now she was leaning against it, head bent. The chaos of the grief was unbearable. Her mind tried desperately to make sense of all the sounds. Sapphira's forceful admonitions, Asenath's empty words of comfort, Mavea's moans, Elise's wails, Mara's crying. Too much. Stop it! Once more, all eyes turned to Atia, who was shaking but determined. Enough crying! Dethar will be back. He's magical, Sapphira. At least he's dangerous. Make your choice, and then what do we do? Silence fell, and the sisters exchanged glances. What if Sapphira's right? Mavea suggested. I mean, of course Dethar would say the medicine wouldn't work. If it did, he'd have no leverage. Asenath cocked her head thoughtfully. It's a possibility. Are you sure? Atia cautioned. I'm not giving them to him, Elise said firmly. Never. He can taunt and beg all he wants. He'll have to kill me first. Well. All 6 of the sisters spun toward the voice. At the top of the stairs, near the landing, Dethar rested casually. Is that your choice? How did you get up there? Sapphira demanded. Well, how do you think? Dethar swung his legs around, moving into a sitting position. He looked like the perfect criminal, sitting like that on the staircase, arms resting on his knees, hands dangling between them, a sly smile resting on his face. I dare say I'm not surprised. You were right to think me a liar. I lie with the best of them. It seems strange, then, that you would not suspect the other things I said. The sisters watched, paralyzed, as Dethar began his descent. Stopping, he stood mere inches from Elise, and then looked down into her face. I'll give you one last chance to agree. Fists clenching, Elise met his glare without blinking. In a voice as dark as his own, she said, I will never let you take them. Why do you want them? To have your revenge on my husband? You can beg all you want. They are my children, and they stay with me. Now get out of this house. With her final word, Elise moved as if to slap him. Quick as lightning, Dethar caught her by the wrist, and Elise screamed in agony as his hand heated up like fire. Watch who you choose to fight, he breathed, pulling her up against him before thrusting her cruelly into the arms of her alarmed cousins, where she remained, hunched over and rubbing her sore wrist. You are a stupid woman. So that's your choice? Elise glared at him. That is my choice. Dethar appeared untroubled. Breathlessly, the sisters waited for his reaction, but Dethar remained as he was. Then he stirred, looking at Atia. His eyes widened. His expression changed. Awe, mingled with shock, colored his features as he gazed at her, seemingly dumbfounded. Atia's face went white as she felt his eyes resting on her, and, not daring to move, all she could do was stare back. Asenath noticed, and she spoke up, voice shaking but words clear. Well, why aren't you leaving? You had your fun, causing us so much misery. The joke is over. You have no cause to stay. Go on, get out! Dethar looked sideways at her, annoyed, and then turned to Elise. You've made your choice then, and I've made mine. I take my leave of you, though not forever. I'll come back. You've chosen a hard path, female, and beware. From this day on, a curse shall follow you, a curse of grief and misery. Study well what Arthen worshipped. You'll need it by and by. Your children will have a better life than any of you could have given them. Their names will be feared throughout the land, and they will hate you. They will hate you more than anyone has ever hated. Remember well what I have said this night. Elise stared up at him, chin still up. Elise stared at him, chin still up, but her face was pale. For a dreadful moment, no one said or did anything. Fleur Neve! Dethar snapped his fingers, and the candles exploded into raging flames, reaching out like hands for the 6 sisters. With yelps of terror, they dropped to the floor to avoid being harmed. An instant later, the fire shrank back to the candles. The sisters looked up just in time to see Dethar racing up the stairs. No! Elise scrambled to her feet and gave chase, stumbling on him as she went. Her cousins followed, each like a mad woman, desperate to stop Dethar before he reached the twins. Bursting into the bedroom, they found Dethar with his hands placed on the foreheads of Jero and Nias. Get away! Elise screamed. A ring of fire sprang to life, feeding off the empty air, not touching the walls or floor as it circled Dethar and his victims. The twins shifted beneath their knitted blankets and woke up, crying like lost lambs. Words echoed off the walls as Dethar chanted the spell, and then the fire roared, bursting into an inferno, blocking him and the twins from view. Then it vanished, and the 3 of them were gone. Hey, chickens. Hey, chickens. Chickens. They're very proud right now. Very happy. But I am not editing this video, so I'm just going to wait for them to quiet down a little bit, and then we're going to move on to the next scene. So, yeah. I guess I'll take this opportunity to point out what you've probably already noticed, and that is I don't have a microphone of any quality right now. Something happened to my little lapel one, and the other one, the really nice one, it kept cutting out. And I was just spending too much time getting ready for this, and so I just decided to come out and punt. I've actually been shocked at how quiet they've been most of the time. And maybe you can't hear them very well. But they're pretty loud here. Oh well. Can't wait forever. Rose! Okay. Really? Tick, 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 tick. Hi. Oh, you didn't know I was here. Okay. Hey. Well, that's probably as good as it's gonna get. Okay. Good. All right. Far away, beyond the land of the elves and within the impassable mountains. Hang on, I'm recording a video. Not just chickens. Far away, beyond the land of the elves and within the impassable mountains, a portal stood alone at the top of a bluff. Like its counterpart near Chesstel and a handful of others scattered around the world, the doorway shimmered with a sheet of glowing magic. Few people dared use the portals, for those who did without sufficient preparation were killed in an instant, unless they were lucky, and the magic let them live. For those who had the power, however, the portals were invaluable. For those who, old stories said there were 50 of them altogether, constructed eons before in another age, long before even the demons' time. Only a handful of them worked now. As the thunder boomed dully and a few demi-dragons flew overhead, the doorway of the arch flashed and Dethar stepped out. Home at last. Dethar surveyed the familiar landscape of ash and stone. It was storming again. No rain ever fell on Fire City, but the thunder was violent enough. Fire City. Dethar smiled darkly as he beheld the fortress. Majestic and impenetrable, The walls rose up hundreds of feet, surrounding a place that had once been the greatest stronghold in the world. Higher still than the walls were the smooth black towers of the citadel, spearing the sky. No place could compare in power or strength. No castle could boast a better guard than the walls that shielded the city of fire. Once, in days gone by, fire had burned brightly in every window, and flames had shot up from the bare ground. The heat of the inferno had been constant. Now, the city was asleep. No fire sprang to life from the rocks. No fire burned in the windows, and it was cold, very cold. For many years, Dethar had felt the weight of his city's shame. He had almost begun to hate the place. Its empty halls were just one more reminder of the emptiness within himself. Yet victory was near. Looking upon the cold husk of what had once been, he saw only what soon would be. The twin strapped to his back twitched, a sign of life. Dethar checked the pulse of the baby he held in his arms and determined it too was still alive, though still comatose from the drugs he had administered. Dethar looked at the vile thing, ugly now from its swollen eye. It was the one he hated most, the one that looked like Arthen. Everything about this child was more repulsive than its brother. In the dark solitude of the forest, it had wailed the loudest for its mother. Dethar had watched silently, letting it feel alone, and then slapped it across the face and forced a sleeping draught down its throat. The other child had barely resisted when it was his turn for the drug. It would make a better slave than its sibling. It had been risky transporting them this way, but Dethar's magic was strong enough to counter the bloodthirsty power of the portals. With such news as he had, he wasn't able to travel the mad distance mile by mile, even if it meant chancing his human spoil. He had invoked his spell and stepped through the portals, destined to become his slaves. The twins had made it through. It was very quiet as Dethar approached the gates. Things used to be different thousands of years ago. Before, men would have been guarding the battlements, and the gate would have opened without his effort. "Kazatan," Dethar ordered. A loud crack echoed through the air, and the iron gate slowly swung open. Up above him, the demi-dragon shrieked and flew away. The courtyard he entered was large enough for an army to assemble. Crossing the broad, empty space, he climbed a sweeping staircase and entered the citadel, shutting the thunder outside. "Flarum," he whispered. Torches flashed to life, dimly lighting the great entry hall, reflections dancing on the glossy floor. They were a poor substitute for the undying flames Dethar sensed should be burning all around. Moving to the center of the room, Dethar set down Arthen's look-alike and untied the other from his back. The one off his back was stirring, eyelids fluttering. Oh, hi. Oops. Hopefully I didn't mess anything up. The one off his back was stirring, eyelids fluttering. "Rest your eyes, slave," Dethar purred, watching it. "You will need them. I will need them. She will need them." His insides quivered, and he straightened and looked above him. Built into the ceiling, barely visible in the shadows, was a large circular carving inscribed with ruins of the fire tongue. Reaching his arms toward it, he cried, "Cleric Glandel on Flarum, o yellow o Solivia, if you're on Flarum, la heva retronad tio Flarum bitondai, a hera me, Cleric Glandel, if you're la heva retronad." Fire exploded before him, and the demon appeared, the mighty father of fire. Cleric Glandel grinned, revealing pointed teeth. "If you're Dethar, master of the fire, your return brings me pleasure. If only your sister were here, we could revel in full." "My sister will be here shortly, mighty father," Dethar said, shaking with the effort to breathe evenly. "These children are nothing to us in this moment. Our hour is coming. I have found her. Niba of fire, the mistress of flame." Torches sputtered as the demon shot into the air with a single wing stroke. Roars resounded off the walls. "Niba of fire, mistress of flame, our time has come. The witch could not hide her forever. She is found. She is found." Dethar had gone to his knees and was braced for it when Cleric Glandel landed. "She must come to us," the demon hissed. "She will come soon enough." Dethar smiled in triumph. "Everything is in place. I have called her." It was a long walk, but Dethar didn't notice the time. Time hardly even existed here now. Fire City had suffered a great defeat many years before, but the hour for their return was fast approaching. Soon, they would rule again. At last, they arrived at a long hallway, deep within the city. Here, fire still remembered its power, burning brightly on the walls from floor to ceiling. None but the fire masters could survive this far into flaring Mitandai. The heat would kill all others. To Dethar and the demon, however, nothing felt better than the warmth of the flames. Cleric Landa moved down the hall, Dethar following at a respectful distance. At the end were 2 great doors made of black crystal, containing live flames that burned forever and gave off an evil light. There were no handles on the doors, and while Dethar knew they were separate, the fire within them burned without division, making it seem as though the crystal were a single cut, rather than 2. Stepping forward, Cleric Glandel raised his head and muscular arms. Dethar listened as he commanded the doors to open and submit to the demands of their master. With a hiss, the fire within the doors parted. A line appeared in the center. The fire on the walls roared madly as the crystal doors opened. The magic in Dethar's blood shivered as he followed the demon inside. Thought someone was calling me. The magic in Dethar's blood shivered as he followed the demon inside. Breathing deeply, Dethar closed his eyes, reveling in the heat. Within the heart room was the very essence of fire. Everything that he was lay hidden here. Like the hall, the walls of the heart room were on fire, burning higher and mightier than anywhere within the city. Below them, more fire burned within the thick crystal floor, and all about the room stood huge fountains of lava and statues of fire wielders, men and women alike, dressed in armor and cloaks. The wielders were made of stone, but their fire was real, burning in their hands as if they had truly summoned the light, and in the very center of the chamber was a black altar. Laraneth, Dethar greeted silently. It was a gruesome piece. Built by the ancient demons long, long ago, and decorated with the skulls of humans and beasts. Fire shone from inside the heads, the sparks reaching through the teeth and the eye holes, glittering and spitting. How often he had come down here alone to hear the whisperings of the altar. Laraneth had spoken many things to him, uttering secrets into his mind that it alone could know. Cleric Glandel himself had no idea just how much Dethar listened to the altar, and Dethar wouldn't tell him. Stationing themselves on either side of the altar, Dethar and Cleric Glandel placed their hands on Laraneth's surface. Call them, the demon growled. Nias, Jero. Dethar felt Laraneth's power enter his hands. His mouth twitched. Nias, Jero, Numazor, and Despor. The demon purred the new names like smoke. Nias, Jero. Tendrils of power crawled out of the altar and flitted through the city, searching. The fire in the skulls sputtered black magic. The fire in the skulls sputtered. Black magic was in the air, the forbidden power that few dared to master, for it was consuming, and it destroyed the loving heart. As Dethar and the demon chanted together, the air between them lightened. A sphere of glowing green formed, and within it, protected from the heat of the heart room, lay the twins. Numazor and Despor. Cleric Glandel grinned upon the children. We shall stretch their bodies into manhood. They shall grow with speed to serve us. A month, a week, a few days. Very soon, they will be ready to serve us. Dethar examined them and felt his lip curl slightly. Could people hear what went on with their families after they died? Laraneth stirred and passed an impression of impatience to Dethar. It wanted them to start the spell. Dethar smiled. You kept my sister from me, Arthen. I am your children's father now. Watch what I make them do. Plunging his hands into the enchanted sphere, he seized both children by the hair. Laraneth flooded the room. The screaming began. That's the end of that chapter. I dearly hope that the sound quality isn't as bad as I'm afraid it will be, but I'm going to have to find another microphone, and hopefully this one will actually work. Thank you for watching, and bear with me as I figure out the technical difficulties that seem to be so abundant on this journey, but I remain determined to press through. If for no other reason, then I don't know. No, it's because I want to. One thing. Now, the chicken does not mind if you like the video, but I would appreciate it. If you enjoyed this chapter, Please give this video a like. If you'd like to follow the story, go ahead and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And she says goodbye.
Bye.
She's gone.